Chapter 229. The Chief Priest's Mission. When the 10 arrived back in Hanoch and informed the chief priests of what had happened in the highlands to all the 1,000-strong mission, and what the 10 rulers of the highlands had said to them, the chief priests of one party became angry. But the chief priests of the counterparty, who themselves had the honours to taste the strategic wisdom of the Highlanders several years ago, cheered at the failure of this attempt. And because they knew that Hanoch was full betrayed, and that the 10 in the Highlands were well informed about the invidious divide between the chief priests, they recalled the counsel of the messenger from Noah, and decided among themselves to comply with this advice. They held a council among themselves and said, "What will it be? We still have the main power in our hands. We know what the thousands on the heights, who are our enemies, were really looking for. They wanted to explore the power of the highlands and other matters, but openly they wanted to enter into an alliance with the Highlanders against us. They thought that firstly, they could outwit us by this move, and secondly, to weaken the Highlanders at the same time, and thus kill 2 birds with one blow. But the 10 in the Highlands were smarter than those mouldy chief priestly zealots, and made their effort end in shambles. Now the matter is up to us. But we will follow the advice of the Highlanders, as far as it still can be followed. Even if we cannot make the messenger from the heights, who was stoned to death, king over all of Hanoch anymore, we nevertheless want to assign this supreme ruler dignity to any of the 10, or, for that matter, to someone they want to appoint. We will remain his generals as we are now, but the zealots will scratch their own faces with gall. We now have to select a deputation. How would it be if someone from us with a fair number of deputies get up there and hand over to the 10 in the Highlands the large golden keys and the 1,000 crowns of Hanoch, which we have fortunately in our hands? The 1,000 crowns came forth from the erstwhile 1,000 ruling councillors. This proposal was generally accepted with approval, and a very eloquent high priest undertook this mission. 100 deputies from the remaining chief priests of the military party followed the one chief priest into the Highlands, and immediately had the aforementioned imperial jewels carried on 100 camels. Once in the Highlands, the whole caravan was led under heavy guard to the 10. When the 10 caught sight of this one senior priest, the old wrath began to stir, and one of them said, "Do we finally have a gilded one in our power, so that we can cool our old revenge on him?" But the high priest said, "This is not the way it should be, because also to us as to you, a conciliating messenger from the old heights was sent. He gave us some advice, and we are here now to follow his advice." The messenger was unfortunately killed, mainly by our domineering zealot chief priest party, at the time when you demanded that he should become the sole ruler over all of Hanoch. At that time we separated from the zealot chief priestly party, rallied all fighting forces, divided the great army to fight with one half the apostate provinces, and to satisfy the zealot priests, used the other half to launch a feigned attack against you, which of course ended in a disaster for us. But we nevertheless have thereby achieved a good goal by getting the power in our hands, and are now, for some years, the rulers of Hanoch. But the actual chief priests are now our greatest enemies and are secretly recruiting forces to attack us. But since we are now completely in charge of Hanoch, and have the keys and the crowns in our power, we have taken them according to the counsel of the messenger from the heights, and have them delivered to you. It is now up to you to appoint a king over Hanoch, who will be the sole ruler. But we want to be his most faithful servants. Here are 100 deputies at my side to reaffirm the full truth of my statement, and on the backs of the camels you will find the 1,000 to you familiar crowns and the golden key of Hanoch. But we are all standing in with our lives for the truth of it all. Here the 10 started to sing a different tune, and at once called for a large council meeting. What next? The following will show.